Hey Grace Kids, this is the next week of our Out of This World series. We serve an out of this world God who inspired prophets to write an out of this world book, the very mind of God we can read. So last week we talked about the over 40 prophecies that God gave us in the Old Testament, telling us about where Jesus would be born, his life, his death. Last week we gave you two amazing prophecies about his birth. If you missed them, please go pick it up, watch that again. If you forgot, watch that again. But this week, we're talking about prophecies about the death and resurrection of Christ. Prophecies where the Messiah, we were told what would happen to the Messiah, what happened at Easter at the cross. So I'm going to read one verse in the New Testament, which says in Matthew 27, Matthew 27, verse 46. When Jesus was on the cross, he cried out 7 statements. One of those statements was, "My God, why have you abandoned me?" Here's what the verse says, Matthew 27:46. At about 3 o'clock, Jesus called out with a loud voice, "Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you abandoned me?" So he cries out, one of the 7 statements on the cross, "Why have you abandoned me?" But that's a prophecy. Back in Psalm 22, King David wrote this psalm, and the first words that he wrote in Psalm 22, verse 1, my God, why have you abandoned me?" David had no idea that he was being a prophet about the coming Messiah and the cross. And when you read the rest of Psalm 22, you hear the statement of Jesus on the cross, one of the 7 statements. You can read the very thoughts. What was Jesus thinking as he was dying on the cross? Like you hear in verse 2, where he says, "I called you in the daytime and in the nighttime." That's a prophecy. It was light the first 3 hours he was crucified. It was dark the second 3 hours he was crucified. Later on, he talks about being surrounded by enemies who are making fun of him. And that's exactly what happened at the cross. Later on, he talks about being able to count all of his bones as he hung on the cross. And that's exactly what happened. Because he was stripped, his clothing was off, and he could count his ribs. They even talk about gambling for his garments, and that's exactly what the soldiers did, and on and on. And the psalm even ends with a prophecy how the world is going to hear the amazing works of God. That's the Great Commission. That's Matthew 28. This is an amazing book with prophecies about God Almighty coming to this world, Jesus, his life, his ministry, his death, his resurrection. This is an out of this world book. Read it, study it, love it, live it. You can relate with God.